Welcome to the Copper King Mine and Railroad. Today we're going to talk about Copperton, the building of Copperton. We have a lot of construction pictures of them building the houses and laying out this beautiful community of Copperton. So stay tuned. Copperton. Today we're talking about the construction of Copperton. We have a lot of great pictures of them building these houses and this whole community. I will just talk about the history of Copperton while showing these pictures as we go along. The first photos were taken in 1926 when they started building the houses. Plans for the community and the blueprints for the houses started as early as 1923, and they was from the architectural firm of Scott and Welch. The underpass is the gateway to Copperton. Now, it was built in 1947, and that was part of the new ore line to the mills, and it was called the Copperton Low Line. The community of Copperton started in 1926 with the town's layout and the first 18 houses. Utah Copper wanted to break away from the rough and tough reputation of a mining town. The publicity said, quote, "Copperton will be a town of families. There'll be no room for a floater, the pool hall habitué, or the bootlegger," unquote. Utah Copper, now that name will change to Kennecott in 1936. They owned and maintained the property. They did this until 1956 when they sold to all the occupants for a reasonable cost. From the start, there was a great demand to live there. Priorities were company officials, mid or upper level management personnel. Only married couples could live there, and people had pretty high seniority, and it depended what department you were in to get a house in Copperton. Mine staff, technical employees, foremen, steam shovel operators, railroad engineers, or similar status. If you quit, or you was retired, or a widow, you had to move out. You couldn't live in Copperton. Utah Copper held a high standard of appearance inside and out. The company came in of regular cleaning, painting, repairs, but the yard maintenance was up to the occupant. Lewis Buckman, mine superintendent from 1930 to 1946, was notorious for driving around Copperton very slowly, inspecting the houses and the yards. He was known to dispatch an employee to cut somebody's lawn, then charge the occupant if it wasn't up to the standard. The houses were well built. They had copper roofing and copper rain gutters, central heating, indoor plumbing. The standard 4-room model cost $5,065 to build. The 5-room model cost $5,804 to build. Utah Copper Mine Superintendent's house cost $18,983 to construct. Rent for the 4-room house was $22.50 a month. 5-room house was $27.50. In 1926, 18 homes were built. In 1927, 30 were built. Then phases over the years, and they totaled up to 204 houses. The last 14 were built in 1941. November 10, 1936, Kennecott Copper Corporation will take full ownership of Utah Copper. After World War II, Kennecott, they will build only duplexes, starting in 1949. Here's a photo of January 19, 1950 of some of those duplexes. In the middle of the community was this beautiful 8-acre park. It was magnificently maintained. Developed in 1927, landscaped with grass, trees, flowers, winding path, a bandstand, restrooms, tennis courts, and a playground. They even had a full-time gardener. Some great pictures of this park and how beautiful it was. Well, it still is. Copperton developed over the years with schools, churches, and a few stores. The first elementary school came in 1929. Bingham High School moved down from Bingham in 1931. And here's some few pictures of that Bingham High School. We even have a few pictures inside of that high school. Then in the 70s, the Bingham High will move down to South Jordan, and they'll turn this into a middle school, junior high. My daughter actually went here. The Lds Church was built in 1942. Here's some pictures of that. The Methodist Church, now that came from Kern's Army Camp in 1948. And then the Catholic Church was built in 1949. And like I said, they had just a few little businesses over the years. Look at this neat little gas station, though. This is great. We have some pictures of this over the years. Now, there was a ballpark there already in the 1920s, and it would be replaced with the completion of the high school ball field and the stadium in 1938. The stadium was built part of the WPA project. Copperton was designed to showcase Kennecott's copper products. They had copper shingles and downspouts, bronze screens, brass plumbing fittings, and bronze-plated hardware. It came with a half a basement, and that was to save on tax assessment, but most of the people dug that out into a full basement. They had a fun breakfast nook. They had a shared driveway, and then individual detached garages. Another interesting fact, the northeast section of the town was built on top of an old mine tailings. So it required that great big piles, 30 feet deep, had to be set to support the foundation. And there was as many as 18 per house to strengthen this footing and foundation. Copperton was not the largest company-built mining community, but it had the distinction of the most substantial and well-furnished houses in the state. So take a visit to Copperton, drive up and down the streets, have lunch at the park. It will convey a distinct sense of time and place. That's Copperton.